Beautiful place, isn't it? It's Darwin's Hidden Valley Raceway, and we're set to check out some of the support action. Got plenty on the undercard before the next supercar session comes out. A few of the locals have found their favourite spot to watch from and enjoy maybe a quiet, cold Coopers or two. It's just about the time for it as it goes 1 p.m. local time. Chad Nailon and Warren Luff talking me through the next 20 minutes, or sorry, 15 minutes, I should say, of improved production, Commodore Cup, and HQs. Did you get that, Luffy?
Mate, this is going to be chaotic out here. Like you said, it's a 15-minute qualifying session, and it's a relatively short lap around here. So being an improved production car category, these tyres tend to sort of do their best work on lap sort of 2, 3. But the problem you're going to have for the guys at the front of the field, number one, we've got a lot of cars out here. The last of the cars are only just leaving the dummy grid now, and the first of the cars are coming through sort of turns 8 and 9. So traffic is going to become a real big issue for these guys. So traffic management is going to be the key to getting a good qualifying lap.
One young man who's going to be keen to impress off the back of some pretty good news is Bryce Forward, the local Darwin boy. He's on screen right now in Commodore Cup, and he has just signed on for the Pertec Enduro Cup, where, ironically, he won't be driving a Commodore. He'll be getting ready to go alongside Todd Hazelwood this year. And that will be a huge moment for Bryce. Made the back of the NT Times as well. That's another proud moment for Bryce.
But this is going to be good for him because any mileage that he can get, it doesn't matter whether it's here in a Commodore Cup car, but race miles is always going to be the key for him coming into Enduro time. So it's great to see him out here this weekend. Obviously, home round, he'd be keen to sort of impress, and he certainly did in practice. He's 2 seconds up on the next car in Commodore Cup, so he's got a handy buffer, but it now comes down to qualifying.
How about the Commodore that's about to pass Bryce Forward down the front straight as well? Now, you are a Walkinshaw Andretti United driver with a proud history with the Holden Racing team. And have a look at the retro livery on the 15.
Good straight line speed out of that car, but this is where you're going to see the difference in cars in this category. This is what makes this sort of category so much fun, because you've got so many different cars. So the Commodore that passed Bryce down the front straight, clearly much more horsepower, but maybe not quite so good in the corners and everything like that. So again, this is where it comes down to your traffic management. We've got HQs out there with Commodore Cup cars. Holdsworth, another great name in motorsport. Obviously, this is now the father, Glenn, of Lee Holdsworth. I was having a quick chat to Glenn in the dummy grid before qualifying. Massive setup change here. He's come forward in the seating position so he can actually get full throttle.
I like that. Maybe shove some yellow pages back there or something like that. Used to do the trick when I was a kid. As he's hugging that curb down at turn 1, which has been extended around the entire inside part of turn 1. We saw plenty of supercars struggling to get it pulled up down there earlier. Did you do the track walk with your McElroy Racing team yesterday in Carrera Cup?
Yeah, we did sort of the usual track walk, go and have a bit of a look around, and it's always a good thing because 12 months between visits, you always want to see what's changed, and like you said, they've added a little bit more curb down at 1. Also on the exit of turn 1, you used to see a lot of guys dropping wheels in the dirt as they go over the backside of the curb, and they've actually extended the green concrete behind the curb up about another 15-20 metres. So from a driver's perspective, it encourages you to use more of the road on the exit, but it stops those big sort of holes that we'd see at the end of the green curb. It just makes it that little bit nicer.
Here it is, down at turn 1. Now, it's a WRX, so keeping it pinned in the grass, no worries.
Kind of going back to its natural heritage there out in the dirt. And but look, that's one of the things that we see so often here at Hidden Valley is people out-braking themselves down at turn 1. And the good thing is there's lots of runoff down there, so it encourages you to sort of have a bit of a go down there. But like we saw there, it's very easy to make the mistake.
Pushing the limits for this 15 minutes. Now, improved production's broken into 2 classes as well. You've got over 2 litres and under 2 litres. Then you've got Commodore Cup and then the HQs. How good is it seeing HQs back? Did you ever race an HQ in your days?
Probably one of the few things I've never actually raced. I drove a few HQs at sort of practice days and bits and pieces, but never actually raced one. I had plenty of friends did, and look, back in their day, a lot of people forget how big HQ racing was, not only on a state level, but also on a national level. Like, you'd go to the nationals and watch the sort of HQs and everything like that, and there'd be like massive fields, and these guys would take the build of these cars and like in terms of engine performance and everything, because they don't have a lot of horsepower. So even just to sort of have a 2 or 3 horsepower advantage, and some of the creative build quality in the cars was pretty exceptional.
They were pretty entertaining watching them around the Thunderdome as well back in the day. And they'd have fields of about 40 million of them cruising around the dome. They're always known for plenty of action, the HQ, so great to see that there's a special HQ class this weekend. And this is what we can expect to see in the racing. This is just the qualifying session, but when we get through to the race this weekend, traffic will absolutely be a factor to think about. It's already playing a part right now. 1:17.0 for the Mazda 808 of Tim Playford earlier today was quickest. And we're not even into the 17s yet in this session.
It'll be interesting to see for these guys how the track has changed from first thing this morning, because ambient temperature has now probably come up a little bit, so track temperature is going to come up. But since they were out this morning, you've had Carrera Cup, you've had the V8 Supercar practice session, so there's a lot more rubber down. The track's going to be a lot cleaner, so it's going to be interesting to see, can they take advantage of the extra grip that there's going to be out here on the circuit. Speaking of grip, you've got two wide through here. Nice and comfortably there for the HQs.
Bit of formation flying. I feel sorry for the BMW. Someone's just put a roadblock ahead of him. How's he going to get through this? There it is. There's the gap. Strikes it up on the way to turn 6. Got it done. That was brave.
And like you said before, this is something that's going to be a big part of these races, because very quickly the front guys are going to come around and experience lap traffic in these races. And you've also got to remember, as a driver, that whilst you're coming around to sort of have some lap traffic, these guys are out there, they're driving on the limit, they're having their own races out there as well. So you don't want to sort of mess up someone else's race, but also, most importantly, you don't want them messing up yours.
Exactly. Now, this is Robert Braun and Luffy. Despite the traffic, look at this, he's setting purple sectors at the moment. Can he take the BMW to P1? Seconds away from answering that question, as we're seeing now the timing board is lighting up in front of us. So we're going to get some quick times in here. First to be Braun. He goes to the top. He passed half of the HQs in the Northern Territory on his way to P1. Now we go to the little Mazda. This thing screams down the front straight. Topped the earlier practice session, and Tim Playford goes back to the top. 1:16.8. 2:10s up on his practice times, and he reached the traffic at the perfect time.
Good traffic management there. The interesting thing for him is going to be is, does he now try and cool it off with just over 7 minutes remaining? There's still more than enough time for him to be able to have another crack at that. He's sort of got nearly half a second on the field so far, so you'd like to think that that's going to keep you nice and comfortably at the top. But as I said before, with the track conditions improving, it's going to be about that traffic management. I reckon he'll probably try and cool it off a little bit now and try and find himself a bit of clear track to have another go, because he certainly was quick in the first and third sector, but he actually lost a little bit in the middle sector. So he's going to know in himself that there's still probably a little bit more time to be had. How much more time there is, we'll wait and see.
And we haven't had a lap yet, Warren, from Michael Ubergang, who was P2 earlier today and is a former race winner here in improved production. One of the drivers who always turns it on in his Mazda. Now, I just wonder if that's a timing issue, potentially. There can be some pesky little problems like that pop up.
Well, we actually saw a few timing issues in Carrera Cup this morning, so there might be something into that, because it doesn't show that he's actually in the pits. It shows that he's on track, but we're not getting any registration of laps or lap time for him. So that might be sort of one to play out after the session.
Ross Salmon from the Club Sport sitting in the lane as we go back to the start-finish line, and Satchwell gives us a lap and is P3. Some of the closing speeds between cars in a straight line. It's like watching Le Mans out there with the LMP1 cars cruise by. That's on this weekend, and a couple of Aussies to watch out for. A former McElrea star on the grid as well. Young Matt Campbell, one of a couple of Aussies running Porsches this weekend with Alex Davison. We'll touch on that when we get to Carrera Cup. So a fairly big support card here this weekend. We've got improved production on track right now. Touring Car Masters ready to go. We saw them at Winton. Their championship battle continues here this weekend with the likes of John Bower and Steve Johnson. Carrera Cup and also the Aussie racing car. So lots of action coming your way across Fox Sports all weekend long as Salmon brings the big Club Sport out of the lane. Now there's Ubergang. We mentioned he was a little bit MIA in the 63. He's put it into P8 at the moment, Luffy, so still got some time to make up.
Still a fair way off what he did this morning, so it'll be interesting to see what he's capable of doing in these closing minutes of the session. He doesn't have a lot of time left, but as I said before, it's only a very short lap around here, so there's still enough time for him to get a decent lap under his belt, but it's still a few seconds away from what he actually did this morning.
How do you go around here in your supercars days?
Yeah, I always enjoyed it as a circuit. It's a challenging circuit the first time that you do come here, because Obviously, braking becomes a big thing down in sort of turn one, but your car setup in the V8 Supercar is so critical because you've got, in the last half of the lap, you've got a lot of long loaded corners, and then the run down sort of onto the front straight through the sort of, from sort of turn sort of 9 and beyond. It's a real roller coaster ride, and that sort of run onto the front straight is so critical. It's easy to outbrake yourself and get a little bit greedy on the entry. With such a long front straight here, the run onto the front straight is the most critical part of the lap. Doesn't matter what you do in the rest of the lap, you mess up that final corner. Not only do you destroy the lap that you're on, but it also has a flow-on effect to the next lap because the run from the start-finish line down to turn 1 is also so big as well. So it's a challenging place, but always a really rewarding lap. And it's great to come up here because the whole town gets behind it, the atmosphere here. It's a big party.
Yeah, the parade in particular, the Transporter Parade Wednesday night down the main street in Darwin with full horns and everything blaring, and thousands of people coming out to welcome the supercars back to the top end. And already a pretty good crowd here for a Friday. Lots of school kids as well. I went and checked out the junior press conference earlier, and they were asking Craig Lowndes, Todd Hazelwood and Tim Slade plenty of questions. Timing screen's gone a little bit quiet, but Michael Ubagang's the one man probably to watch at this stage. He's sitting P2 in the practice sessions earlier, and he's sitting 8th now, so the potential is there. Salmon lighting up the rear end of the Club Sport.
Ubagang's just gone green in the first and second sector. Still a little bit away from what Playford's done, but certainly on a personal best for himself. So there's still just over 2.5 minutes remaining. So there's still plenty of time for him to be able to get another lap under his belt. Here we see him come onto the front straight. So this will be interesting to see, has he been able to sort of convert the third sector into a personal best?
Should jump up. He sits 8th, he goes to 4th. 1.3 seconds off the pace, but that's a nice lap. He did a 1:18.2 earlier today in practice. That's right on that speed. Playford improving here. He's got half a second on the field, and he's about to double down. Oh no, not as quick in the last sector, 0.3 slower. So he's lost some speed at the end of that lap, maybe some traffic. Still 2 minutes to go. Half a second clear of the BMW of Robert Braun. And it's Satchel, Ubagang, Jessup running at the top 5. They're all in the over 2 litre class. We then go back to Bryce Fullwood, first of the Commodore Cup entries. And Fullwood's given us a 1:19.6. The next best is Ling with a 1:21.9. He's got 2.3 seconds. Bryce Fullwood, 2.3 seconds on P2 in his class. That's a fair gap.
It's a reasonable gap, and he's cooled it off probably with good reason. I think he's safe with a 2.3 second gap. But like we've seen in the past, and we spoke about earlier, with traffic, whilst it's great to have such a big advantage in qualifying, when you start adding traffic and everything like that into the equation in the race, anything can really sort of happen. So for him, the opening laps of the race is going to be really critical to try and sort of get a bit of a break on the cars behind him, so that when you do come around and lap traffic becomes a bit of a factor there in the race, that you're not having to sort of take unnecessary risks to sort of fight your way through. You've got that sort of bit of a buffer up your sleeve. You can sort of be nice and gentle getting through the traffic.
It's a fair old gap at the moment. Braun, no improvement, sitting P2, half a second to find in the little E30. That rounds turn 1. I like the sound of it.
Sounds very good.
Sounds very cool. It's one of the cool things about improved production racing that we've noticed, whether it be the Adelaide 500 or here. You get a real variety of noise. Some turbo, some rotary, some V8. BMW's top of the list. Difference in speed between the guys at the front of the field and the HQs at the back. 18 seconds.
You said it's almost like at Le Mans this weekend, where you've got some 30-odd seconds between the LMP1 cars and then the GTE cars. And again, like we spoke about earlier, you've got to remember each of those cars and each of those categories, they're in their own special battle. They're out there sort of fighting. And I was actually messaging Matty Campbell last night over there going into sort of the nighttime qualifying. And he said the hard thing is over there is that you only get one lap in qualifying, because obviously it's such a long lap that the tyres and fuel loads that they give you, it's an out and one flyer. And he said the same thing over there. It's all about the traffic. It's trying to sort of get the best run that you can through. He sort of had a little bit of bad luck over there in traffic, but like I said back to him, mate, you've got 24 hours to figure it out, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
A huge moment for Matt Campbell coming up this weekend as the checkered flag brings a close to qualifying. And it's appropriate that the 78 should be in shot because that's your pole man. Nicely done, Tim Playford, local Northern Territorian in the Mazda, taking our pole position in a 15-minute session quite comfortably today, and does so by nearly half a second. 3 races, just 8-lap sprints around here, so traffic will come into it right at the end with pretty much a 20-second gap between the field. It'll take him about 4 laps to catch the traffic. It's Playford from Braun and the BMW, Satchwell, Adam Ubergang right on his earlier practice times, and it's Bryce Ford, Pertec Endurance Cup driver Bryce Ford, and he is easily the quickest in his class today. That's the Commodore Cup class. Looking for the first of the under 2 litre cars, and that would be Craig Wright, 5.7 seconds off the outright pole, but looking the goods at the moment so far in the under 2 litre class. Cambridge is your number 1 driver in the HQs, and it's a fairly packed field for the HQs all the way down to 34th in the field, and that gives you a bit of an idea of the spread across the improved production Commodore Cup and HQ field. Let's check out the highlights. Thankfully, it was clean and green for 15 minutes.
Yeah, these guys had a really good session out there. No sort of, no big offs for anyone in particular.
Yeah.
As we said before, the Subaru just returning to its natural heritage.
Playford wound up the week midway through the session. He's the only driver into the 1-minute 16s. To give you a bit of a reference, that's 10 seconds slower than Rick Kelly's Nissan in the main game here this weekend. Commodore Cup is part of this. Glenn Holdsworth wheeling it around the top of the top part of the racetrack. Turns 9, 10, all the way around to turn 14 onto the front straight. Trouble-free 15 minutes. Playford is the one to watch. Satchel coming home P3. That very cool turbo-powered E30 BMW P2. And then this man in the Mazda. But I get the feeling Michael Ubergang is going to give us some fireworks tomorrow as well in their first of 3 races.